You haven't done a video about Sunderland game? Well, no. Okay, now. Painful enough as it is. Why haven't you done one? Wouldn't we sit here and pick a particularly painful scab and all while I'm at it? Okay, nihilist, you lot. But anyway, it is end of season. I suppose I haven't done one for all other games, so we'll just have a quick look at the heartbreaking second leg. Okay, now. So Wednesday against Sunderland, second leg. This is how the team's lined up. Obviously a couple of changes for Wednesday. Jack Hunt comes in on the right hand side, Philly and Palmer, which nobody's arguing about that. And Josh Windass comes in up front for Berahino, and again before kick-off, nobody's mumping about that either. Sunderland unchanged, Gooch right, Barton Sirkin at the back, Evans and 09 in the middle, not bad. Roberts, Pritchard and Clark across the attacking midfield three, and Ross Stewart up top. So no changes from Sunderland, and minimal changes for Wednesday, which if anything you'd say made it a stronger starting 11. So that's the lineups. Right, yeah. After the game, there's a common theme, which is Darren Moore has cost us promotion there. He's been tactically outthought by Alex Neil. The tactics have played a part in the game. The formation has played a part in the game. Has he been outthought? No, I mean, it could be argued that Neil ditching his 3-5-2 to go 4-3-3 has given them an advantage, but Sunderland fans in the comments on my previous video, my preview video, and on Twitter, one or two of them to me saying, well, don't give him that much credit. He's a good manager and he knows what he's doing, but that were largely forced on him because Broadhead were injured and he's not got any faith in his third choice backup striker, who apparently is more of a winger anyway. So he's changed his system for that first leg. I think where you can give Alex Neil credit is by not going back to what he was doing before, because a lot of managers, they've got a way of playing. Right, we're going to play this way, three at the back, we're going to do this, that and the other. And they only change it when they have to, when they've got injuries or suspensions or whatever. And then as soon as they can get back to what they want to do, they'll go back, even if they got good results in the meantime when they changed a bit. So it is a good manager who will say, all right, well, we're going to have to do this. But then, oh, it's working. All right, we'll stick with it. That's about getting the results over your ego, if you know what I mean. All right, well, okay, we'll stick with that. We'll not just go back just because I like doing it the other way. So bit of credit for Neil there. Tactically outthought, Darren Moore. The formations and the tactics have affected the game, and it's easy to say that after the match. Equally, if Darren Moore had changed his team to match them up and we'd not won, he'd be getting hammered then for tinkering, wouldn't he? Well, we've had this 3-5-2, it's been working, we've been on a fantastic run since Christmas, and that clown changes it. He's more worried about opposition. He doesn't change it, and he's been tactically outthought. So to that end, as a manager, you can't really win, can you? But let's be honest, if he'd gone before the game and said, right, I'm going to throw a flat back four, we'll play 4-3-3, like we did at the beginning of the season, which nobody liked, he'd have got hammered again. So, but those formations and tactics did affect the game. Now, Wednesday weren't brilliant at all. I don't think you can fault their endeavour. I don't think you can say they didn't try hard. I don't think you can say they weren't trying to attack. They were trying to attack. A lot of accusations. Fucking long ball Wednesday. Oh, fucking long ball Wednesday. But you can't just, long ball. Fucking manager's a long ball manager. Why? Why are we playing these long balls? There's always a reason. It's not... Darren Moore's not going to go in that dressing room before the game, having won 50 odd points since Christmas or whatever it is, best home record in the league, scored in all these goals. He's not going to go in before that game and say, right lads, all good stuff that we've been doing that's got us in this position, fuck that far out window, what I want you to do is just get it launched aimlessly down pitch. He's not going to say that, is he? Think. He's not going to do that, is he? No. The reason we've gone long is because of things on the park. One of the things on the park which you've got to accept is there's opposition out there with their game plan. And I think that's what affected it. I think they've got a system that, like I say, whether they arrived at it to Alex Neil being a genius or whether they arrived at it because they didn't really have the other options up front, however they arrived at it, it worked for them and it worked against us. What it did was it allowed him to give more freedom to his probably two best attacking players in Roberts and Clark, which they might not have had if they'd been playing wing-back. And secondly, it effectively took out of the game Hunt and Marvin Johnson, who have been two of our most effective players, especially since that brilliant Christmas run that we've had. And it's not just a case of man marking and this and that other. Their system, with the 2 in the wide areas and ours with a 1, gave their wingers the freedom because they knew they'd always got a support mechanism with a full-back behind them. Our wing-backs didn't really have that freedom. If they lost the ball, they've always got to be switched on that there's somebody behind them just stood there waiting for the ball, which is what happened with the equaliser when Mendes Lang comes on and it's that ball in behind him. But we'll just have a quick look at what I'm on about. Now our wingers, Roberts and Clark, they've got a certain amount of freedom. Yes, Wednesday are attacking and yes, they've got to do their little bit. But they've got a fullback who's marking their winger, their man. The nearest player to them they've got to worry about is that winger, but they've got a fullback behind them to mark them. Johnson, for example, let's have a look at this. Johnson can go and attack the ball. He can go and have a run at their fullback, and that's what you want him to do. But he's always got to be mindful that behind him, Roberts is stood there with little defensive responsibility in acres of space to that counter-attack. Now listen, that's all well and good. Go on Wednesday, go and get him. But you're 1-0 down for first leg. You've got to be very careful when you're attacking that you don't get picked off after the first 10 minutes by a sucker punch. So, to that end, there was a little bit of resistance with Wednesday. That, you know, Johnson and Hunt, they were like, we can't get caught out too early in the game. So there's a little bit of reticence to get caught too far forward because, as I said, it's 2 against 1 on that side. If they go and push and get tackled by the fullback, they've been man-marked, then there's that easy ball in behind. So that's the first thing. Yes, all that attack, you've got to get back in the game, but you can't kill the game yourselves. You can't commit suicide in the first 10-15 minutes of a game and leave yourself 2-0 down with a packed house and it all to do. So those players, although they want to go out and attack, the wide players, especially Hunt, Johnson, they have just got to have a little bit of mindfulness about what's this behind me. And that's what I'm on about with the system. Their system allowed their wingers to play with so much freedom, whereas our wing backs were a little bit, all right, I can't afford to lose ball here. Now the other thing is, we didn't really get the ball to them. They allowed us to play from the back, and they didn't really squeeze us in the way that they did in the first leg. And the first leg, Sunderland's at home, they've got a packed crowd up there at Stadium Light. They want to force the issue, so they pressed on to Wednesday, and the wingers are squeezing on them and making us try and make mistakes at the back. And they're still comfortable in the fact they've got man markers with their set of halves, and they've got man markers, our wing backs, their full backs. This leg, they were happy to sit off, and they were happy to let Wednesday come and try and do us on the break, so they allowed us to have the ball in the centre-back positions. And I do think it's important that we think about that and them letting us have the ball at the back when we're slagging off the team for being long ball, because by them sitting off us, it made us harder to get those passes into the areas that we wanted. I talked before about the freedom. Their wingers had got the freedom to express themselves. A number of times in that game, Roberts and Clark especially would get the ball and they'd just go off on a run. Off you go, son. You've got a defence mechanism behind you. The man-marked, Wednesday a man-marked behind you. You go off and have a run. And there's that freedom to go and exploit space. Our players didn't really have that freedom. And a lot of the time, we couldn't even get the ball to them. Our freedom was at the back. Our centre-halves were the ones with the freedom. They're not the people you want having the ball. Now and again, we did get the ball into midfield, into Byers, Luongo, Bannon, whatever, although Pritchard was shuttling about trying to cut them passes out. But when we got it into midfield with Bannon and Luongo, whatever, we couldn't get it into those wide areas with Johnson and Hunt. We'll just have a quick look. I'll try and explain what I'm on about. Now, they weren't particularly putting a squeeze on the ball. Yeah, they'd do a half-hearted close, but it weren't until we got to near their halfway line that they applied any sort of pressure. And what they were doing is they were taking out the angles that Roberts, Clark, they weren't being asked to go ratting in and chucking tackles about. They were just being asked to block angles off. So they weren't closing the ball down. So when Hutchinson got the ball bowled out to him by Peacock Faddle, Roberts weren't squeezing him. It was like, yeah, have it there. And they were just blocking the lines. See, football's about control, isn't it? And controlling areas of the pitch. Now, it's not always the team who has the most of the ball that is controlling the game. You can control the game without the ball by having certain things that happen in certain areas of the pitch with and without the possession of the ball. And they controlled the wide areas. When they'd got the ball, they'd got a spare player who got freedom to express themselves and go and attack. In our wide areas, our wide players had got a man marker, there was a spare man shuttling around and blocking the spaces off. So even though Wednesday had all the play, even though we were piling on the attack, there was still always that thing in your mind that did you ever feel totally that Wednesday were in control of that game? Because I didn't, and it's because of little things like this. You knew there were pockets and areas of the pitch that at any time could be exploited because we didn't have control of them. Now there's probably two pivotal moments in this game, and that's both the goals in a way, and it's both to do with Wednesday and their wide players actually going for it. So the first one, obviously, Luongo cuts inside, he takes a runner away, and it creates that little bit of space for Johnson to actually get forward, probably for the first time in game. Bannon finds him with that delicious pass, and Gregory scores. Equally, the equaliser is on the other side of the pitch, and it's just a long ball over. And this is what happens when you do commit men to those situations when you're outnumbered. And this is what we talked about with being outnumbered in wide areas. It's a simple ball over the top. Mendes-Lang can do a lot better to get out there 100%, and the goals it's a terrible goal all ends up. But it comes from a wide player, Wednesday wide player, going forward and thinking, no, we have got to go for it. We are, and it's that ball in behind, which is what we're talking about the first half. That was the sort of thing that Hunt and Johnson have got to be mindful of all the way through the game. It's just unfortunate that we didn't sort of reset ourselves after we scored that goal, because it was always going to be then that we got excited and piled on and got caught out with that particular ball. So the first half, and people, fucking long ball, it's sometimes about playing a percentages safety game. And as I said, we couldn't really get the ball out there. We had a man marking job on Hunt and Johnson, but it reminded me of something years ago. I was talking to one of the lads, we were in the booze, and he said, have you seen that interview with George Graham? About the cup final in '93. So this is maybe 2003. I says, no. He says, you've got to see it. He said, it's really interesting. So I went and found it and had a look at it. And George Graham and Trevor Francis talking about the '93 cup final. And one of the questions they put to George Graham, they said, and how did you stop Chris Waddle? Because Chris Waddle at that time, Football Writers Player of the Year, top of the assists column in the Premier League. I think there were him and Beardsley top of assists. There was a big campaign, I don't know if you remember, to get Beardsley and Waddle back in the England team. How do you stop a player like that? And George Graham, with that sort of soft Scottish lilt, he just sort of smirked and he said, you don't try and stop Chris Waddle. You can't stop Chris Waddle. Probably the best winger in the country at the minute, one of the best wingers in Europe at the minute. Don't try and stop Chris Waddle. He said, but you can stop the ball getting to him. Simple and effective stuff at times, but stuff that can be overlooked when we're too busy slagging our own team off. So what George Graham was saying is you can't afford to have a player of that quality isolated against your fullback. And that reminded me of the situation with Marvin Johnson. I'm not putting Marvin Johnson in the same bracket as Chris Waddle, but what I am saying is in this division he's probably one of the most creative wingers out there. And his form since Christmas has proved that, with all his assists and his goals and the wonderful service he's been putting into the box, which has played a massive part in Lee Gregory's goal-scoring success. What I'm doing now is showing that if you've got a quality player in your team, there's more than one way to take him out. In this interview, Graham talked and said there's no point trying to man-mark Chris Waddle, he can't do it. He said, so what he did is he just got his players to cut out the angle. So Paul Merson, don't go and engage Roland Nielsen. You don't have to go and try and tackle Roland Nielsen. You don't have to track back and try and get a foot in. As soon as we lose possession of the ball, just position yourself and stop that simple ball down the line. Chris Waddle likes a ball into feet, down the line. Just position yourself in there and stop that. Equally with the strikers. Now some people like the strikers to work as a pair, one good at the full-back, one good at the centre-half. Some like them to drop in and both go to a full-back apiece and let the centre-halves have the ball. Again, Ian Wright, just get yourself an angle, try and stop that out ball from Nielsen into Sheridan. And equally Paul Davis, and I think the other lad was John Jensen. You don't have to win the tackle. You don't have to get the ball off John Sheridan. Just one of you go and engage, and the other one just put your body in the angle between Sheridan and Waddle. What's all this got to do with Wednesday against Sunderland, you fucking knobhead? That's what you're thinking. Well, because the same thing was happening. We couldn't get the ball into them areas. They were letting us have it at the back. We were getting the ball into midfield, Luongo, Bannon, Byers. We'd not got them options to do what we do best creatively, which is get it wide and get good delivery into the box for Gregory. We did it once, maybe twice in the game. It's made a huge impact on us. So all this, it's long ball, it's shit. It's long for a reason, because they've taken out the options that we're best at. Hutchinson hasn't got a simple ball into Johnson's feet because Roberts is positioning himself there to cut out that ball down the line. Johnson himself's man marked by the fullback. Inside, Luongo and Bannon when he drops a bit deeper. They haven't got that pass out there because Evans is getting his body in the way. They're not particularly winning the tackles. They're not crunching us. They're putting their bodies in the way. They're cutting out angles. And that is half of the point in football. Everybody likes a blockbuster tackle, but you don't always have to win a tackle. You can get yourself in a good area. I'm going to mention it. These players, even the much maligned Pelopessi, he wasn't a great footballer, he wasn't brilliant, and I'm not saying get him back or all like that, but once fans had took against him, it didn't matter what he did in a game that were good. There were games when I saw him cut out hundreds of passing angles, but you don't notice it because the opposition then don't make that pass. So they're not intercepting. You're not having to intercept it. They look up, they see the angle's gone, so they'll go another way. That always gets overlooked when people do that sort of job, and their players did that job brilliantly. I can't believe I'm mentioning Pelopessi doing good things. I've probably just lost 500 viewers. Fucking hell. So there's reasons. There's always reasons. So, fucking Wednesday's gone long ball. Fucking shit. Why? Ask yourself, why have they gone long ball? Because other things have been taken away from them. Other options have been taken away. And sometimes you've got to credit the opposition and say, oh God, these are stopping us play. Do you think Wednesday players went out there at Park and thought, no, let's just aimlessly lob it over top? No, of course he hadn't. Do you think the manager has suddenly ditched all the football we've been playing since Christmas and said, right lads, it's second leg, let's just oof it aimlessly into edge of their box? Of course he hadn't. Things happen on part. Ask yourself the fucking question. Why is this happening? Look at what's unfolding in front of you. Fucking wank Wednesday, fucking long ball. Why have they gone long? Why are they trying to force the issue with them passes? Why are they trying to get Gregory Windass away every time? Why are they always trying to find Gregory's feet? Because they can't get it in them areas that they want to get it. Sometimes give credit to the opposition. Sometimes ask yourself the question, why are we doing that? Why aren't we doing what we usually do? Well, we're not doing what we usually do because the opposition is stopping us do that. The tactical side of it. Some folks aren't bothered, I don't suppose. I am. I can't help it. That's the way I watch a game. Oh, you haven't mentioned referee? I don't want to mention referee because it were no different to the rest of them. Because in the EFL, the referees are shite. It's been every week. He were no different. Oh, he's dropped down from Championship, so he must be good. No, the entire English Football League, they're all crap. It's a rarity when you get a good one. Wednesday looked a bit leggy. They were trying hard. They were trying different things. There were loads of endeavour. You can't fault their industry and whatever, but it just weren't our day. Tactically, it favoured them, whether that's down to Neil being a genius or whether it's just a piece of luck they fell into that way of playing because Broadhead were injured, whatever. It just didn't unfold for us on day. One or two of our players looked a bit leggy towards the end of it. Byers, I thought, had a struggled game. But then he will do, because his kneecap nearly got kicked off after about 30 seconds, innit? Referee. Yeah. Oh, it's only the first minute. What's that mean? Get a big street fight between some youths, One gets stabbed in first minute. The coppers turn up and say, well, it was only the first minute at scrap, so we're not going to nick him. We're not going to nick him for murder, If it had been an end at scrap, yeah, fair enough. No, they don't. You just get fucking nicked. And if you kick somebody's kneecap off in the first minute of a game, you deserve a bloody booking. Well, it's only 3 minutes in. Off you go, son. And it did impact the game, that, because Wednesday players started to get frustrated. You've got O'Nien banging Windass all over the show. He's another one. He's left a foot in, and Bannon. So you've got sort of Luongo, Bannon, Byers get booked for what I'd call retaliatory stuff, frustrated stuff, shirt pulling. Fucking hell, ref, this wanker's getting away with it again. So then you've got your three midfield players on a booking then, which lessens the chance of them getting involved in any more physical stuff. Meanwhile, their players are free to do what they want. This is where referees have got to get a grip. So yeah, if he takes action in the first minute, that probably don't happen. Don't want to talk about shit AFL referees, and they're not particularly, the reason where we are. We've won 85 points. Any other year we're up there, aren't we? And we haven't lost this game because of that. We've lost this game because we've been caught out with a big ball over the top. We've caught out with that ball over the top because we'd not got a right fullback. If we've got a proper fullback out there behind Mendes Lang, that ball probably gets cut out. But if Dan and Moore changes and goes to a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 at this stage of the season after winning all them points, he's lost his marbles, he's lost his mind, he's worried about opposition. So it's all about whether you win or lose. If you lose and you're a manager, you get blamed whatever you do. If you change things, you're weak. If you don't change things, you're stuck in your ways and you're stubborn. You really can't win. You really can't win. Fair play to Sunderland and Neil, because it worked for them. Their tactics worked for them. It gave freedom to Clark, who was a fantastic player. I'll keep my eye on him because I just think he plays with a freedom like a kid in a schoolyard. You know, look at a schoolyard, kids aren't passing the ball about, are they? They're all dribbling it until one of them loses it. Then somebody else gets it and he starts dribbling. And he plays like that with that freedom. Give me the ball, I'm off. So it'll be interesting to see how his career goes. And over 2 legs, they were a better team. I thought they deserved it over 2 legs because we huffed and puffed a bit. We created half opportunities, but you know, it's a tight game, little fractions, and I do think that them stumbling into this system, if they did, or Neil, if he picked it deliberately, has been one of the main factors, because it just did enough to stop Wednesday being at our creative best. If they'd been at 3-5-2 they'd been playing previously, I think we might have done it, but there we go. So looking into next season, I think Dan and Moore did talk at the beginning of the season about being tactically flexible. Now, we got hammered for it, tinkering. If we'd been able to do it in this game, would it have been enough? Just to, we'll never know, you know, we'll never know. It's all guesswork, innit? Yeah, so 2-1. Fair play to Sunderland. Thought they were the better team overall over 2 legs. I thought they'd set up in a way that suited them, and equally I thought Wednesday set up in a way that suited us, but just that their way cancelled our way out. And that's what football's about. It's not always about just having best players. It's about areas of the pitch and controlling areas, like I said before, with and without the ball. And for all we had it, and Wednesday gave it a hell of a go, you know, they really tried to force the issue. For all that, I didn't feel we fully had control of the game, and it's key areas of the pitch at any one time. So, but for all that, it's 2 sloppy goals they've scored to win the tie. So for all that, it still took a bit of luck. It took somebody just taking her off the ball for a second in first leg and taking her off the man for a second in second leg. For all that, it's still just come down to 2 little moments of concentration, and no manager can do anything about that. Anyway, that's me done for the season now. Although I have had little messages saying that if I don't do any videos, some of my algorithm will be buggered and you'll all leave. So hit that notification bell, because when I do come back from after my breather, at least then it'll ping and you'll be like, oh, he's back. That's if you're still bothered. 15 players I think out of contract now. Be interesting to see who stays, who goes. But I do think we've got basis of a decent squad. I'd still like to see us get a left back in. I've been saying this for 6 years though, so I'm not really holding my breath. Just to give us that option to play now and again with a back 4. And see where we go. I made a video earlier in the season though. Don't panic. Made a video earlier in the season. It's always the second season when you really show that growth. Happened under Charlton, happened under Wilkinson, happened under Atkinson. Even though we went down, you could see what we're growing. Second season. See where we go from there. Fancy having to talk about all that bollocks again. That fucking referee. What a wanker.